News, the press conference this morning, Terry Pegula, Brandon Beane. How about it? How do you like Pegula with the Keon Coleman moment there? Brandon Beane gets a question about Coleman. Beane steps in and is like, I'll take this. I'll take this one. Coaching wanted him. It's so bad all around. Like, I tweeted how if I were Beane, I don't appreciate that. Like, I'll have a way of defending myself. And by the way, he's still on the roster and young. Last year, the talking points were all how people forget. No one forgot. People forget how young he is. and a year later, they're like apologizing for drafting him.
Yeah.
And blaming it on the outgoing, which is really weird, if not almost offensive. So it's bad practice.
Right. And look, I don't know. It is. It's an unforced error. It's self-inflicted damage, which they have been pretty expert at so far this week, to my view. I mean, it doesn't have to mean that they're going to botch this and that we're doomed, but I'm still not. I mean, I've slept the last 2 nights. I will give you that.
That's a development.
Excuse me. No, it was only one more night. It was Monday night into Tuesday. I didn't sleep. So last night slept. So sleep is fine. But I don't feel any better about the decision making and everything that's going on there, because I think they've stepped in it numerous times with, they had a map for where the mines were and they still stepped on them. And that's alarming because, you've had time to be measured here. They had time before they released that statement Monday morning, and they botched that. And not just the use of the word admiral, because the use of the word admirable would have been, I think, questioned. I mean, that was your point right away on Monday morning. And just the rest of it just didn't rise to the level that I think the fan base would have found acceptable for what the coach had meant and what he accomplished. So they botched that, and then there's Monday night and the one news cycle of, there's arguing about the roster, and that didn't go over well in the building, and all this talent and all these weapons and all this stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? No one is going to buy this. And now today it was a temperamental, emotional response to the emotional wreckage of the locker room, which, again, I'll say, if that would have just been the story right away, you can poke holes in making a decision that way and say you should sleep on it or rest and consider all the options and all that. But his 9 years, all these playoff disappointments, I can respect that. That makes sense. But they just have every opportunity given you reason to question their judgment in some way. And that's what worries me, because when you've got time to make decisions and you still step in it, what happens when you don't have time to make decisions? There's real problem, real crisis, real, spur of the moment decision making that needs to be done. I don't know. I'm worried about everything in a way that I have not been in almost 10 years.
Here's Jennifer with us. Hi, Jennifer.
Oh, Bulldog, you're saying exactly what my thought process has been over the last few days. And let me just highlight, I think people are missing the bigger picture here. This arguably is Brandon Beane's worst year ever as a GM. Let me just step through a couple of things. Draft not so hot. Arguing with media, not just your station. He's been very condescending and confrontational with others that question the roster. The lovely let's sign a player that is on a 6-week suspension when we say we don't know he is, and then sign another one with a 6-week suspension that we knew about that don't end up contributing to the football team. Let's try to go get a defensive back who we know and almost everybody in the national media knew would not sign with the Bills, then let the other defensive back go. Okay. And then, let's throw our coach under the bus, who is well-liked by most. And I will tell you, 2 years ago, I would have been on board with the with the McDermott firing. I probably would have been okay even with it last year, but this year was probably his best year of coaching, I think. And I'm mystified how you, as an outsider looking at us, don't see a disaster and a communication disaster of unbelievable proportions for a professional football team. I'm wondering now if McDermott's the one that was buttoned up and this organization without McDermott is flailing around, leaking things that are opposite arguments. It's to me, I am highly concerned about who they pick as a coach, what that coach's role is going to be with these two people supposedly steering the ship. I'm really mystified.
Thanks for the call. I would say on Darius Slay, I don't know who knew what about whether he was going to come, but my thought on it was he isn't good. Like, Pittsburgh was done with him, like grades and everything. The guy seemed like he was done. And the Bills do end up losing a piece in the effort of trying to get him here. That didn't work out. Joe is next. Hi, Joe.
Hey, afternoon, fellas. Mike, just so you know, I was downtown earlier going through one of the government buildings, and the security folks checking me through were all talking about next coaches, and I threw out, how about John Gruden? And they all went, oh, I'd be good with that. So you got some supporters.
I don't want my name on it. I just, I think you have two very different conversations there, and I respect anybody who thinks just no because of what happened with him.
I agree. I wanted to call a little bit with what Jennifer said. First of all, I think we're really missing some of the obvious things that Josh Allen not acknowledging Pagula in the dressing room. That is a big deal. And I think I read somewhere that there was a second time where Pagula tried to address either Allen or another player, and the player just didn't acknowledge their existence. Can you imagine your boss going to you and saying something and you don't even look up? So I think there's something there. And what this seems to me is this is revenge of the nerds. You've got the jocks versus the nerds going on here. Pagula and Bean are the nerds, and McDermott and the team are the jocks. The culture that we're all so proud about, that doesn't come from Pagula or Bean. The culture that is the prize of the league, that was made by McDermott. So there was a lot of protesting going on between Pagula and Bean. Oh, we didn't do this. We're not responsible. We didn't do this. It wasn't our fault. Don't blame me. My wife's crying. All of this stuff. I really think that we're not going to nobody's going to believe that Bean had nothing to do with this. This is all cover your ass from the organization. I think Bean really knows the roster's in big trouble. We saw that there's like 6 people that take up 25% of the cap next year. We're going to lose 2 offensive linemen. The defense is going to be completely unrecognizable. If we make the playoffs next year, it will be lucky. So this is basically setting the team up for failure so that they could bring in a new coach and they can wipe their hands at the end of the year going, well, it was a year transition. Give the guy a break. No big deal. And so the last thing, I think somebody needs to get a mail campaign going so that when the stadium opens next year, game 1, McDermott goes on the Wall of Fame.
Wow.
I mean,
what an ending.
Good luck with that cause. I mean, the way how chilly it has been this week toward him. I mean, you're a lifetime away from that, I think, right now.
I wanted to say the thing about Pagula not getting Allen to even acknowledge him in the locker room, but I didn't. Mm-hmm. I mean, what did Terry say? That he was sobbing at the time? Didn't even. Yeah. But still, I wanted to say that.
And said he went to him and said it was a catch. Yeah. Maybe that's not the thing to lead with when the guy is a heaping hulk and still in his equipment sobbing. Like that it was the refs when he turned it over 4 times himself in the game. Like you might want a different lead there. I don't know.
Just I don't care what he said.
I don't mean to be nitpicky, I guess, but it just seems like an odd. I don't know that I would react that well to that. If Allen is feeling responsible for maybe and even perhaps suspecting, if not knowing, that this is all going to happen because of this result, walking in and saying the refs blew it that's not the touch I don't think I'd be looking for myself. I do want my name. I mean that. That's not what you say to that person.
I don't disagree with that, but
You say, I'm sorry.
whatever you say, you get acknowledged as the owner, I think. And I wouldn't so much criticize Allen, I think, as maybe Pegula. Like, does he rate? I mean, does that happen? Just he doesn't even get a thanks or anything like that? I wanted to say it, didn't think I needed to, but
I guess I mean, whatever. I'm here. I'm really, really, really boiling this down. I think I can more understand Allen not acknowledging Pegula because he said it was a catch, if that's indeed what happened. Because that would be something I would not want to hear in that moment if I were Josh Allen. I feel responsible. I screwed this up, and I don't need to hear the first thing is you're going to give me an excuse. So anyway,
Paul is next. Hi, Paul.
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it. I think we're not seeing the forest for the trees, and I'll go back to the '90s with Levy. 4 years in a row, 25, 26, 27, 28. Made the Super Bowl, hit the proverbial wall, playoff wall. Did nothing about it. We retired. Everyone else, we had to gut the team to get back to where we were with McDermott and Bean. Now we're at the point, I think this same thing with Kevin Adams. This should have happened 2 or 3 years ago. This should have happened during or right after the Bengals game. Who knows what would be for today? That would be 3 years ago. You'd have a new coaching staff. Who knows what players you'd have? But Bean should have been gone too. You don't fire the coach and keep Bean. Sorry. They were a tandem when they came in, and they should have been a tandem when they left.
Okay, thanks. I don't think that has to apply. I just don't think you fire the GM and not the coach, which I think is the popular sentiment in our situation. But as an owner, I mean, you always could do that, but this is easier. It might not be as popular, but this is easier. Because now I've got my GM running the show on the next guy, and if I fire the GM and not the coach, then I think I'm running the show on the next guy. This is better.
yes.
From an organizational standpoint, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
Or both, but then what? That's the same thing, and I'm doing both. I have to hire somebody that I'm going to put in charge of my operation, and in a sort of a reasonable, understandable way, Terry chose not to do that. I have somebody that I trust to do that, and I'm going to keep him. Let's go to Jay next. Hi, Jay.
Hey, I flew out on Monday to land and find out that our coach was fired, which, okay, a change was going to happen. I figured as much. Then I land and find out all hell's broken loose, and we look like we don't look too good on the national scene from what I'm hearing. And I'm nervous. I think Bulldog said that. I mean, okay, we're going to make a change. I get it. But now I'm looking at the way we're handling this, and I'm saying there's more dysfunction inside this organization than we realized. And that's not good. And what's the saying when your enemies are in chaos? Don't interrupt them.
I like that.
And we're not looking good in the AFC now. I mean, it's looking like back to business as usual for the Patriots. Honestly, that's how I'm taking this, because I'm looking at this saying, what is going on? I mean, I thought we were better than that. I really did. And the way things were handled, it doesn't look that way. So I'll hold my breath, but it's going to take one hell of a coach to come in and clean this mess up, because we're going to really need the best of the bunch right now, because without that, I have a feeling we're going to go in the wrong direction. And again, Josh Allen's 30 years old. We all know that. 9 seasons in, not that much time left. And quarterbacks who take a lot of hits typically don't last as long. So I get why they did it, but I'm not too comfortable with where we're at right now. That's all I wanted to say.
Thanks, Shay. Yep. What are the odds going to be on the AFC East next year?
8 years in on Allen, by the way. It's 1 year behind McDermott and Bean. Anyway.
Who is New England favored next year when the odds come out? AFC East?
Yes.
Did they have to be? Isn't it going to be close? If the Bills had played New England's schedule and the New England Patriots had played the Bills' schedule, maybe the Bills win the AFC East this year?
Yeah. I think it'll be close. I don't think by the time we get to the next season odds, which we're only a few weeks away from, that this will be like how this is being perceived will ding them severely. But I think New England will be, I don't know, better odds than the Bills. But I don't think it'll be substantial.
I'll be ready to bet against it, the Patriots.
Sure. Well, we love to lose.
We love to lose bets. The Bills played the Eagles. The Patriots played the Giants. The Bills played Houston. The Patriots played Tennessee. The Bills played Kansas City, who they beat. And the Patriots played Vegas, who they lost to. But still, I stand by it.
Yeah.
Here's Danny next. Hi, Danny.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
I think people are kind of not looking at the big picture as much. From before the season, everyone thought we were Super Bowl bound. So before the season, we had enough players. We had a good enough roster to make it to the Super Bowl. In the playoffs, we had a good enough roster to make the Super Bowl. We had a good enough team to beat Denver, and we could have won this weekend and be in the Super Bowl. So I don't like everyone saying, well, it's the roster's fault. It's Brandon Beane's fault. And we need a coaching change. Something's got to change. Like, we can't keep doing the same thing again and again. So I feel like McDermott had to be fired so we can get a change and try to make it over that hump, because it's clear Sean McDermott wasn't going to get us over that hump. And Brandon Beane, he might not be our GM by the time the season starts, but we need some type of professional in place to help us pick a coach. And I wouldn't leave that to just Pagula to be doing this on his own. So I don't see what other moves could have been done besides the status quo. So let's give these guys a chance to get it together here and win a Super Bowl.
Well, they've got that. Fair points, I think.
Yeah. The one thing I would say is that, Beane was asked directly about him like bumping all the way upstairs and leaving GM behind, and he pretty definitively said, I'm going to be the general manager. So things could change. Maybe he didn't feel like today was the day to broach that subject, but for now, I'm taking him at his word on that. He sounded pretty definitive about it to me.
Steve is next. Hi, Steve.
Hello, boys. I'm calling regarding the press conference today that left me a little flat. I got kind of a parallel. The circumstances for the teams weren't the same, but going back to the Houston Astros of 2017 when they had their press conference about the cheating scandal and the way that press conference landed, to me anyway, seems to a lot of other people very flat. The answers didn't seem genuine. They didn't seem to add up. And that's what I took away from today's press conference, almost to the point I'm sorry they had it. It left me leaving even more angry than I was prior to this.
And that's Bulldog said earlier.
That's the big miss. Like this whole week has just been the kind of week that can shake your trust in them being able to get everything that needs to get right. Because the stuff that they got wrong this week should not have been that hard. I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm not a PR person either. And look, we do live in a world where maybe to some extent we would have found something to bitch about because it's what we do. We would have chosen up sides and we'd be yelling about something because the Bills let us down again. They didn't get all the way to the place that was going to make us all happy, which is, a parade in the middle of February. But they've mismanaged. They've mismanaged every step of this, and that is. It's worth noting. It doesn't have to doom them, but it does bring back vibes of like years gone by, pre-McDermott era vibes, where like they just couldn't find the right song to play at the right moment.
And in those years, I made, because I'm so clever, a habit of blaming myself for everything that went wrong for the Bills. I would say, obviously, it's my fault. Mm-hmm. I might go back to that.
All right.
Nobody was that eager today to blame themselves for anything.
That could be interesting. Could be good for the show.
Saying I am my toughest critic and I hold myself accountable, that's just words. You want that to really come across. And I don't know, it felt today like it wasn't so heartfelt in that way. specifics, examples can be good for that, to show you an example of why. Here's how I messed up. You don't want to do that by saying, I would never have drafted Keon Coleman, for example, and Bean didn't say that. The owner said it, kind of said it for him.
I wonder what, I know we've got the owner, general manager, like that's their their titles. I wonder what that relationship is like. Like, do they walk away from that, and does Bean go, or does Bean maybe go to a PR, like someone is like, why did he have to do that?
Maybe.
Or can he just go to Terry and say, like, dude?
Well,
does he call him dude? Terry, why no.
If I were Bean, I would have hated it.
Yeah.
It's like when maybe your parent enters a situation and defends you. Like, no. That's not, I didn't need you to say that.
Right, I'm good here.
I'm an adult. I'm responsible for it. I can defend myself.
People already think you're favoring me, or that I won some power struggle. I don't need you being a human shield for me. I can answer a question about the receiver that couldn't show up on time.
Plus, he's still on the team anyway.
Right.
What are
you doing?
And like I tweeted this morning, I want to raise my hand if I were Bean in that moment. It's like, no, actually. But then you're arguing with Pegula on the
dais,
on the stage. Like,
you can't do that.
You can't do that. No. You sort of have no play. You'd want to be able to. No, well, here is how I look at it. But he didn't have a chance to do that. He did eventually later on bring it back,
right,
which is probably good.
At least it's over. I don't know. The news conference, it's over. How many days will we talk about it?
I don't care who the player is. If I'm a GM in the NFL or any sports league, I do not want anybody thinking that I am not responsible for the players on the team and the draft picks. What's my job? And you're putting this out there to try to defend me that actually McDermott picked Coleman or wanted Coleman or whoever else on the staff would have rated. And I don't know, the premise here is that I'm in charge of this. No matter good or bad, I'm in charge of this. Yes, we collaborate. We talk about different ideas. That's a functional thing. But it's my decision. And here today it was like, well, not always.
Right. Especially today, in the context of that news conference.
I know.
That's the cluelessness that is terrifying to me. Because that is not a hard thing to grasp. Is sitting in a room. Right? Like the idea comes to your mind. Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. If somebody asks him about Keon Coleman, I'm gonna step in.
Oof.
Not a
great play.
Don't decline that. No.
Not a great chess play.
Punt.
The update, and then we'll talk some more.